One day, scrolling, an ad popped up in my feed. It was difficult to tell what it was advertising, but it seemed promising. It told me to fall in love, follow my dreams, keep my friends until old age, get a dog, a cat, and even start a family. Just wondering, what was it selling? Insurance? Bank credit? A car? No, not this time. At the end, there's a beautiful image of an extraction platform in the sunset, looking almost romantic. This was an ad by OMV Petrom, one of the companies investing in the Neptune Deep platform, the biggest gas exploitation project in the Black Sea region of Romania. Its main motto was, "Never stop making plans for a better future." Wow! Imagine being a fossil fuel company, directly responsible for anthropogenic climate change and promising young people a good future. Wait. A better future. Why is it better? Because they're going to invest 11 billion euros until 2030 into, pictures of sunsets, I suppose? Their audacity shouldn't surprise us anymore, yet it still does. But they've been heavily investing in ads for decades, and at least some of them are mind-blowing.
Îndrăgostește-te, dar nu așa. Îndrăgostește-te, Lulea. Apucă-te iar de facultate, aia pe care ai vrut-o din tot.
Let's go back to a time before the IPCC, COP, Greta Thunberg, Just Stop Oil, Extinction Rebellion, or Ende Gelände. Let's remember the weirdly truthful 1962 ad by Humble Oil, a company now called ExxonMobil, which is known for its investment in climate research, denial, and obstruction. Showing a blue-white picture of a glacier, the ad said, "This giant glacier has remained unmelted for centuries. Yet the petroleum energy Humble supplies, if converted into heat, could melt it at the rate of 80 tons each second." Looking back on it now, it feels so eerie, it is almost funny. Can you believe they said the truth for once? Even unwillingly? That's so rare, as the fossil fuel industry has put a lot of money into advocating for anything that would keep them going, subtly modifying their tactics and narratives as public opinion was changed. One of their first strategies, after they realized the magnitude of climate change, was denial. To deny as much as they could, especially by emphasizing uncertainty, manipulating science, and swaying politicians. For example, before the Kyoto negotiations in 1997, which were meant to commit states to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, they made a strong move. Mobil, before it merged with Exxon, ran advertorials, ads disguised as editorials, that questioned whether the climate crisis was real or human-made. In short, the general narrative, repeated over many years, goes like this. If climate change is real, we are not sure what's causing it. But maybe it isn't real at all, so either way, it's not our fault. Or maybe it is sort of real, but it will destroy the economy if we act like it is, so we should pretend it isn't. Anyway, if it is real, it's not the industry's fault, it's your fault. You, the consumer, ask for fossil fuels. The companies are just providing it to you. And more so, the fossil fuel industry is partnering with universities, always trying to find the best solution for everyone. Because we are part of the solution. And let's not forget, you are criticizing the coal, oil and gas companies from your fossil fuel-powered little abode, and almost everything you own is probably also thanks to us in some way, so really, you are the hypocrite. Well, I guess they got you, and me, and all of us. We shall just get back to driving our petroleum-fed cars and eating industrially produced food from far away, packed in plastic, which is also made of oil, while waiting for the next mega flood. It's not like there's any alternative. And anyway, they're not evil. They probably didn't know better, right? Nope. They knew. Mobil and Exxon, for example, engaged in climate science research quite early, with an internal 1979 study claiming dramatic world climate changes before 2050. Actually, many years before that, at the centennial of the American oil industry, they were warned that a big increase in carbon dioxide could raise sea levels so much to submerge New York. But alas, big oil will be big oil. It won't step down willingly. If coal mines are on the brink of closing in the Western world, if oil demand is set to slow in the near future, then it is time for the third fossil fuel to take up the stage: natural gas. As part of fossil fuel solutionism, the industry is saying, hey, we hear you. You want clean energy. We have it. It's natural gas. It's natural, it's clean, it's low carbon, it promotes energy security, and it will bring jobs. It's the perfect bridge fuel. No, wait. It's the fuel of the future. As the science of anthropogenic climate change became harder to dispute, the deployed tactic was to delay action. Delay as much as possible. Keep investing in fossil infrastructure and pretend it's the right thing to do. For the economy, for the nation, for the workers. This is how the discourse around natural gas is constructed, now that it has become too hard to argue that coal or oil can be clean. Emphasizing that gas is just half as polluting as coal when burned, the fossil industry managed to cherry-pick, again, the most convenient information. Yes, that's true. But let's not forget that natural gas is actually methane, the second most abundant greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, having a heating capacity of up to 86 times more than CO2 in a 20-year lifespan. That's your next 20 years we're talking about. Because natural gas is almost entirely methane, people are arguing it shouldn't even be called natural, as that suggests some sort of innocent quality to it in a constructed cultural idea that what's natural must be good. Calling it fossil gas or methane gas is simply more accurate. The infrastructure for its extraction, production, and transport is anything but natural in that traditional sense, as it requires processing plants, storage units, thousands of kilometers of pipelines, and liquefied natural gas terminals, where gas is liquefied for maritime transportation and then regasified when it arrives at the destination. So efficient, right? Well, they might say, look, our pipelines are the envy of the world. They are secure and reliable, transporting Earth's cleanest traditional fuel. And they certainly don't leak methane into the atmosphere. Except they do. It's very hard to even calculate how much, but people try. For example, a recent study shows that even when leak rates are as low as 0.2%, life cycle emissions from gas could be on par with coal. Suddenly, this bridge fuel doesn't sound so sturdy, does it? And the problem is, gas leaks much more than initially estimated. It varies depending on a number of factors, with scientists even finding a 10% leak rate in one of the highest emitting oil-focused regions of the US. And that's not the only place where it's getting into our air and up into the sky. It happens along the whole infrastructure, and then in cities too. As the problem is dangerously underestimated, citizen scientists in Massachusetts organized to monitor methane levels in their neighborhood, discovering over 14,000 active leaks. That's just in a business as usual scenario, with inevitable leaks along the infrastructure. But then, it gets worse. There's super emitters. Leaks so great they become equivalent to 1/3 of a country, such as, let's say, Denmark's annual emissions. That's exactly what happened in 2022 with the Nord Stream pipeline in the Baltic Sea, which was used to carry methane gas from Russia to European countries. Underwater explosions considered military sabotage led to a leak that set the record for the single largest methane discharge. Relying on gas as a key element of energy then not only worsens climate change, but manufactures social and environmental vulnerabilities. So much goes for energy security if it requires increasing militarization to protect it. What did the seals and the fishes hurt by the shockwave have to do with any of this? How will the hearing-impaired porpoises survive those contaminated waters? And what about the rest of us? Human and non-human, whose environment is being destroyed a little each day by these industry giants, compounded by militarization. Big, dramatic events made the news more easily, attracting attention and maybe even action. But the terrifying increase in greenhouse gases since the Industrial Revolution is creating another sort of violence, slow and unseen. There are tragic events, like the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, which people remember. The months-long spill could be seen from space, ribbons of oil browning the ocean. Dolphins kept dying for years, having stillborn babies. Turtles were stranded. Coral communities were suffering. There are extreme weather events, floods, wildfire and heat waves made so much worse by climate change that they kill hundreds of people and who knows how many non-human animals. Then there is the annual increase in temperature. In some places it's just a little each year, you can almost ignore it. There's the lengthened pollen season which worsens allergies in children and adults. There are more frequent droughts impacting the production of food. A lot is happening everywhere and it's all getting worse. Fast enough to be terrible, slow enough for us to still somehow unsee it. Climate change is a threat every day for everyone, impacting disabled and marginalized people even more, affecting mental health, as well as access to clean water, nutrition, and shelter. What the fossil fuel industry is doing is called slow violence, described by Rob Nixon as a violence that occurs gradually and out of sight, a violence of delayed destruction that is dispersed across time and space, an attritional violence that is typically not viewed as violence at all. This violence is mundane, seeping through the air, the water, the land, just a drop, and another, until it accumulates. People who live near oil and gas rigs are much more exposed to health risks with an increased incidence of respiratory problems and cancer. Those whose lives happen to be around hydraulic fracking, which is an unconventional technique of extracting oil and gas, have their physical and mental health impacted in many ways, frequently suffering from nausea, sleep and skin disorders, and premature birth. And it doesn't get any better the further you go, as gas and oil need to be transported to be used. This is where the pipelines come in. Their construction has contaminated wetlands and drinking water sources, destroyed communities and farmlands, ruined soil and landscapes, violated indigenous treaties, and damaged the habitats of non-human species. Once they're in place, the risks continue. There are routine explosions along them, often injuring and even killing workers. So if it can make the production or distribution of gas look any good, the industry will turn to another tactic. They will make cooking with gas seem like the best option, the proper choice of a chef. As it turns out, people don't care if their homes are heated with gas or something else, but they do care about how they cook. So the natural gas industry promised that cooking with gas is cleaner, cheaper, and faster, which currently, compared to electric induction stoves, it just isn't. But that idea creates an opening to install gas infrastructure, which will mostly be used for water and home heating afterward, and will be locked in for years. And, like they usually do, they invested money into, wait for it, not just the ads of the past, but on the social influencers of the present to sell it. Unfortunately, new research posits that gas stoves can exceed indoor and outdoor guideline levels of nitrogen dioxide, increasing the risk of asthma in children and even affecting brain development. There's no limit to how this industry will spin the narrative in their favor. They even train their employees to advocate for it by telling emotionally touching stories. Imagine working at a company that warns you about the new brand of environmental activism so that you can advocate for the expansion of their profits while they poison the very air you breathe. That's not an exaggeration. According to a recent study, about 1 in 5 deaths globally every year can be attributed to fossil fuel air pollution. And that's just air pollution, not counting their contribution to climate chaos.
Stay on the earth and push them in the void. Nurture the earth and push them in the void. Fight for the earth and have them disappear. Keep close to the ground and have your friends near.
Many of us already know about carbon dioxide, the heat-trapping gas whose presence in the atmosphere has risen dramatically since the Industrial Revolution. But what about methane? It's also a greenhouse gas, and it's the second largest contributor to climate warming. It traps more heat than CO2, but has a shorter lifespan in the atmosphere, almost acting as an accelerator, or maybe a decelerator, of climate disaster, depending on how society moves next. Just like carbon dioxide, methane is released from natural sources and human activities, the latter accounting for more than half of today's emissions. Globally, the largest anthropic sources of methane are, by order of magnitude, animal agriculture, oil and gas, landfills and waste, coal mining, and lastly, rice cultivation. Because methane contributes to almost a third of net warming, and because it's stronger in short timescales, tackling it is key to prevent going over the 1.5 Celsius goal. That's why the Global Methane Pledge was launched at COP26, which requires countries who sign it to reduce emissions by 2030. But even that is not enough, as it ignores the impact of agricultural methane so much that meat lobbyists celebrated after the climate change conference. And anyway, how could the pledge ever be reached if the fossil fuel industry will keep ramping up production? Because that's what's in store if we buy the lie and consider natural gas a bridge fuel. The industry wants to sell it as a sort of aid to renewable technologies, a soft shoulder of support until they can grow up and take the challenge of powering the world. How kind of them, isn't it? As any new fossil fuel infrastructure takes an enormous amount of money and time that we just don't have. And after it's put in motion, it gets much harder to dismantle. So if you find yourself at the family dinner where there's always someone who won't consider climate impact seriously, tell them about the economic risks. Investments in gas infrastructure can cause stranded assets which devalue prematurely and bring losses. That's a long-winded way of saying they aren't worth it. Let's go back to Neptune Deep, a pretty name for a terrible thing, the biggest gas exploitation project in our region. Pushing our emotional buttons, one of its ads underlines that the project is made to offer Romanians jobs here, in the country, knowing full well about the many personal impacts of year-long migration to Western Europe for work. Romania is the country with most citizens living abroad within the European Union. Many parents, especially women who provide care work, undergo psychological stress from leaving their children at home. But the ad's claims don't stop there. Its motto, for a stronger Romania, is almost echoing the 2019 presidential campaign slogan for a normal Romania, one-upping it. The fossil fuel industry will do more for you than the entire government. It continues saying that this strength will be made with energy from the Black Sea, because homemade climate destruction is just better than the imported kind, you know? And the Black Sea is so kind, just full of free-floating energy waiting to share it with all of us. As if there's no drilling involved, no destruction of its inhabitants' ecosystems, no risk of explosions or leaks that might kill the life it harbors. It's just flowing, you know? Natural gas. It's so natural it can even pass through natural reserves. Neptune Deep's development began in 2023 and is scheduled to start producing in 2027. It needs a 300-kilometer connection pipeline to the main gas transmission corridor known as BRUA, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, Austria, which is only partly finished. Its completed phase already trespasses 8 protected natural areas. The connection pipeline will plow through 11. Special laws were drafted just for these projects to pass, otherwise the environmental impact would have made them unviable. Even so, the fight isn't lost, because it takes so long for it to become functional. The project might fail economically. Moreover, environmental groups like Bankwatch and Greenpeace work to show that its estimated emissions are incompatible with Romania's climate pledges. How can they commit to the global methane pledge, for example, while building new fossil fuel infrastructure? Collectives like Gastivists show us that gas is a dirty lie, emphasizing its relations to colonialism and its worsening of geopolitical conflicts. By only changing the energy source and not the energy system, the fossil fuel industry aims to maintain its economic, cultural, and political stronghold on society. But a decentralized, renewable energy future isn't just a dream. It is already happening. Renewables are becoming more and more cost-effective, with solar and wind being cheaper than methane gas in some regions. With all it has against it, the fossil fuel industry seems like it's one step from becoming a fossil. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's go back to that first ad for a Romania worth dreaming and making plans in. If we make it true and international, what would that look like? For a world worth dreaming and making plans in? Well, it would mean no new oil or gas projects anywhere. Not in the overdeveloped north, not anywhere. Otherwise, we're pushed past the 1.5 Celsius global heating above pre-industrial times. As environmental justice activists and land defenders emphasize, no one has the right to destroy the earth. And no one has the right to fossil fuels. They don't even bring in the wealth they promise. As climate justice activists point out, the new gas projects in Africa are becoming the latest example of a resource curse. Enough decades have gone by since we've been buying this industry's lies. It's not safe jobs they're providing, but underpaid employment in a dying sector. It's not just energy they're selling, but damage and suffering on endless fronts. Natural gas shouldn't be considered a bridge fuel, but the last of its kind. The industry likes to spin narratives in its favor, but so can we. We're even better storytellers because there's more of us than there is of them. There are people harmed and angered by their practices, people who've had enough. When we look at fossil fuel infrastructure, we can see it's a thing of the past, a mistake, too far gone, a lesson learned. Methane gas will only lead us to destruction, unless we keep it in the ground. The future energy system can't be made in the face of the old one. It should be guided by people over profit, decolonization over expansion, environmental protection over growth. This won't be a walk in the park, but we must do it if we care about parks, trees, birds, humans, or anyone on Earth at all. And we can fight for structural change while incorporating lifestyle changes in our daily lives as well. No one is off the hook. A global shifting away from fossil fuels as well as meat and dairy is essential for preventing environmental collapse. As we deal with the discomfort and difficulties of transforming our entire society, we can remember how much we gain by giving up fossil fuels. Not only cleaner water, soil, and air, but healthier lives for everyone, human and non-human. And also, a glimmer of possibility that future Earthlings could have it pretty good, rather than terribly bad. Don't you love that for all of us?
Man-made carbon dioxide, bye, goodbye. See you by the ocean tide. Man-made nitrous oxide, bye, goodbye. See you by the soil side. Man-made methane gas, goodbye, goodbye. See you by the wetland plain. Fossil fuel industry, it's the end of your reign. Bye-bye oil rigs and gas pipelines. Bye-bye coal mines. Bye-bye extractive policy.